conservatives are disingenuously or intentional, or they're just stupid. They're comparing the people mourning Charlie Kirk's death at these vigils to the protests in Minneapolis and other neighboring cities, or not neighboring cities, but other major cities when George Floyd was murdered. I think it's very, very important that we explain that these are very, very different events and that it's not fair to compare the two. To understand how they're different, we first have to explain what both of these events were. So, the murder of George Floyd was something that all of us saw. Came up in our feed, a video of police putting excessive pressure on somebody's neck that they had laying on the ground. He says he can't breathe, and later turns out that he dies because of the pressure applied to his neck. The police then, there was no sign that this cop would get in any trouble. It was not seen that there would be any issue. It was just another thing that people felt was another example of systemic police brutality towards specifically African Americans. So that was the George Floyd incident. Similarly, the Charlie Kirk incident was one where we all saw on our phones a video of him talking about gun control and shootings, and then him, all of a sudden, boom, fall over in his chair. He got shot, and he was assassinated by somebody far off, who then escapes for at least a day, and many of us didn't know if they would catch the shooter or had no idea who the shooter was. Then the Utah government talking about how they would use the fullest extent of the law to criminalize and punish this person for what they did to him. The key difference between the two of these events that people aren't talking about, because it serves a conservative narrative, is with George Floyd's murder, there was not an expectation that Derek Chauvin would have any sort of penalty for the murder of George Floyd, whereas the people in Utah, or the government of Utah, has explicitly said that they planned on doing something as extreme as they could to penalize the shooter. So it's a very disingenuous thing to compare the Black Lives Matter protest that came as a result of George Floyd's murder with the vigils that are a lot more calm and a lot more level-headed that come as a result of Charlie Kirk's murder. Also, as a final note, it is important to say any conservative posting pictures of Minneapolis on fire next to a picture of a bunch of quiet college students sitting for a vigil is being inherently disingenuous in that framing, because the Black Lives Matter protests were 99% overwhelmingly peaceful, and they're taking that 1% of the buildings being set on fire and things to use to further push their narrative. It's incredibly disingenuous, but it's not surprising from people on the right who are trying to push this narrative that they're the victims of all of this endless hate, even though they tend to be the ones spreading the hate to many different communities. If you guys watched to the end, thank you for watching, and please like, follow, repost, and keep up for more.